session. I'm your host, Darian Bryant.
And I'm Ray Clark, and we have today with us author, educator, coach, and bondsman, Kandis Rainey. She's going to be talking with us today on the subject of resiliency, and during these times, we all could use that. We all need to be resilient. There's a lot of things happening, whether it's economical, whether it's, the other things going on in society with violence and racism. But then we all each have our own individual story, and that's a great one that you have, I'm sure, to share with the people today. So if there's anything you want to let the people know, I would say this is a perfect time to plug that book.
Oh, cool. My book is called Purposefully Scarred, and it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So, yes, so go buy it.
And we'll get more into that later in the show, but definitely something that I'm sure is a good read for most of our viewers.
Now, when it comes to resiliency, Kandis, does it look different for everyone?
Absolutely.
And question is, most people think that you have to be born with it, like you can't work on it. Either you're resilient or not. What do you have to say about that?
No, I think it's different for everybody because everybody's journey is different. So I feel like depending on what God throws at you or what life throws at you, depends on how resilient you're going to be, and how much you're really going to dig into it. You know what I mean? So that's how
We're talking about today about ways how to bounce back from adversities. A lot of when I look at resiliency, I look at things of strengths and weaknesses. We all have them. Just because resiliency might be if it's 1 through 20 and resiliency is number 19, not saying that it has to stay number 19. Working on it, and it might not get to number 1, but you can move that number 19 to number 11. With just time of just looking at it and things of that nature. When it's speaking on resiliency, it's speaking on you either learn it from your mistakes or someone else's mistakes, meaning watching it. The country is resilient because of all the things it's been through. We saw that the U.S. is resilient when it came to COVID. A lot of other countries were fast with it. Our country was like, oh my goodness, we got this many people with COVID, that many people with COVID. Like, it took us a while to take hold. And some of that was just people saying, hey, listen, you ain't gonna take away my independence. I'm gonna go out there and do as I do, things of that nature. So it was a long time for a country so big of us to have that. But speaking on your household, as you come up seeing your mom, your father go through different things and how they bounce back, how they bound back, us as kids, we watch that. So that's another way of we form resiliency by seeing stuff that another person down the street didn't see, and also how we was brought up as well too. You might have the mom or the parent that might, when you fail, they're gonna hug you, say, oh, you're all right, baby you up, things like that. And then you have the other parent who's gonna be like, hold up, get up, wipe your eyes, you okay, dust yourself off, let's keep moving. That's two different ways on how people was brought up. So that makes it a little bit difficult down the line for that other person to maybe build their resiliency. Did you have that effect as you came up, or in the things that you've been through? How did you make it from point A to Z through your trials?
It's funny you said that, but people look at my family and think that we never went through anything because my brother, us, we were kind of spoiled.
Yep.
So everybody tends to think you never go through anything, just because it looks like, oh, well, they get this, that, and the third, but we went through different stuff. It was like everybody thought we had an easy life and we never had problems. Like, we have issues. Like, what do you mean?
Just like anyone else.
Just like anybody else.
Right.
Just because we got stuff doesn't mean that we didn't have problems. So we had to be resilient in other ways. You know what I mean? And then we had to fight our challenges different. But you were saying weaknesses as far as resiliency. I like to think of it, and I talk about it in my book, but I think depending on if it's a public or a private problem, it's something totally different in how you have to deal with it. You know what I mean? Because like having a problem that's that's your problem that nobody really knows. Like, if I get raped, nobody really knows. You know what I'm saying? Me, the person that happened,
Right.
or whatever. I can hide that a different way versus me getting cut. Everybody knows this now. So now how I approach life has to be different than something that nobody really knows about.
Right.
So now you have all these eyes on you. I learned that I had eyes everywhere. The old white lady in the store done heard about it.
Right.
The pastor done heard about it. Your teachers heard about it. Like, everybody knows about it. So now everybody has a different eye on you. So now how you address the world has to be differently. So I didn't really have time to just be like, you know, because they see me, my hair ain't done or something. It's like, oh my God, it's stressing her out. You know how you see people after death and you look at them and they had a bad day and it's like, oh my God, it's killing them. You know what I mean? But that's automatically how people are, and they won't just come give you a hug because you've gone through something. They just automatically think the situation is taking you out. You could have just gotten a fuss with your friend.
Yeah, and one thing has nothing to do with the other.
But everything goes back to the situation that they know you went through. So I think you have to address it up, and you gotta deal with it differently. So I think depending on how many people know your problems is how resilient and how much you have to dig into fighting your problem back, or how much you're willing to fight to kind of get through whatever it is as you go through. So that's something that I learned really fast, that everybody has their eye on you. Some people want you to fail. Some people want you to get through it. Some people trying to see, is she gonna get through this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, some people secretly don't want you to get through it.
Yeah, people pray for your downfall. I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So you find that out because people now, how you doing? They don't really want to know. They just want to see your tone. They just want to see what you look like today. Like, they don't really care.
Correct.
You know, because these people that would never talk to you, but they just want to see if you're really getting through this. Because they really want you to fail, but let's see how she does. You know, but it's just depending on if it's a public or a private problem. So stuff that go on in your house, like, you know, the black family's like, oh, if something goes on in the house, we keep it in the house. So those problems that you deal with are different because the people on the outside have no idea of that, but that's something, you know, mentally you have to deal with. So it's something else on how you fight it, but then who am I talking to about it? Because
you don't know no one who's been through it like
exactly.
you. Exactly.
So you can't really share with everyone, and I think that's the world and the kids that, you know, our generation really, you know, they don't want you to really talk about it. So I think it just depends on how many people know your problems and how you want to share it. So
when you kind of learning as you go doing that situation, it's like having a contingency on top of the contingency, and you don't know until it doesn't work. Oh, it did work. Okay, I got to do this. Things that you wrote, I read your book. Let me tell you, first of all, it was an attention getter from the name. The title got me. The whoever did the cover got me. It just automatically drew me in. And when I sat down and I started writing, I didn't stop. I read it all in one setting. It's definitely a page turner. It's an attention grabber. It's definitely a must read. I loved it. I loved it all. My question for you is, and for I know a lot of other people have this question, especially a lot of the younger generation out there nowadays, because we're going through a lot of things now, you know, and they always want to put on that this younger generation is not as resilient, not as strong as we are. What are some of the things that you had to put in place? Because you spoke on a lot of things on how the people, this came from this angle. How this person is going to look at me, how I got to keep this smile on my face, how I had to work it from this angle, how my family is going to look at it. You actually broke it down on how you addressed and overcame every situation, and most of them before they even happened. All right, what brought that along? Definitely upbringing. But speak to the people how those things came to broad and your training kicked in.
I guess just being hit with something so fast and this, like, you had no idea that was gonna happen. Like, you know, I went into a situation, blacked out, and you end up fighting, and then, like, to look at yourself and you got this cut on your face, it's like, what just happen in life. Like, one decision took me to something that I'm gonna have to deal with forever, and I'm just like, oh my God. So it's just a process of everything, and then I'm thinking of my family's reaction. I'm the baby, so we go hard for each other. Like,
Right.
you don't mess with me. Like, just like he just was talking, like, nope, he got people in place to keep baby sister okay. So I'm worried about my brother's reaction. I'm worried about my mom's reaction, my sister's reaction. Like, I don't want nobody to go to jail for something that I went through. So I knew I had to figure out how to react. You know, like, even if I was hurt, I kind of realized that I had to kind of mask that down because they wanted any kind of reaction. Like, my mom would come in my room, hey, you okay? You know, you okay, baby? Like, I'm just taking a nap, like, oh, she's depressed. Automatically, she thought I was depressed. You know, my mom, my counselor, so I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm just asleep, you know, but I realized I had to fight if I didn't feel pretty today. I couldn't really say that, you know, because they wanted to find something. They wanted to be mad at somebody, and I didn't want them to be mad at anybody. I just wanted to be over with, you know. I knew my brother was going to be mad with everybody involved. I knew my sister was going to be trying to get everybody fired. Like, I just didn't want all of that stuff to go for something that I did wrong.
Yeah, that's good. And it wasn't a facade. You just know you had to dig deep, and this is one of them times you had to be strong.
People ask me all the time, like, what's one of the most things that you overcame or something? I was like, getting cut, but I felt like it was something that I needed because I was 18. I had been 18 2 weeks, 3 weeks max. And at that time in life, I was gullible. I thought everybody in the world was good people and all of that stuff. So this was one way for me to wake up. And I felt like I needed it for, like, my friends and stuff like that. Like, how hard I would ride for my friends, I realized, can't ride for you. They not gonna do what you do for them. You know what I'm saying?
You really found out who your friends is when stuff go down.
Right.
Yeah, you mentioned, you know, one of the biggest things you had to go through was when you got cut. And without giving away, you know, too much of the book, because we want people to read it, I want to go a little bit deeper with that because the title of the book is Purposefully Scarred.
Yes.
So you elaborated to, you needed that to happen. And this caused the domino effect of many other things, whether it be how you had to deal with your family, going through them seeing you hurt, maybe them wanting retribution, and then you had to deal with something that a lot of women are dealing with every day, which is we do judge a book by its cover.
Yeah,
We do judge people by how they look and how they present themselves.
Facts.
So whatever insecurity you may have had, just being a young lady in general, this has now been magnified and amplified by this scar, but it served a purpose. So there's a part in there where you're talking about how it served the purpose. Just kind of elaborate a little bit more on how these things that we go through, these scars, they kind of build you, they kind of make you, they kind of strengthen you, they fortify you, they give you that resiliency, because you're like, oh, I've been through this, that's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So talk to them a little bit about that, how it was purpose, because the title of the book is Purposefully Scarred.
Yep.
So, you know, you know that even though this was a wound I bared, it served a purpose for me, and it made me some way stronger.
Yeah. So the title of it actually was given to me like in the middle of my sleep, cause God kept saying, "I want you to write a book." I was like, "God, you got me twisted. Nope, wrong person. Nope, not me." And I was like, I probably pushed that off about 2-3 years, and then I was like, I was going through a battle with jobs. Every time I walked out of a job, God would be sitting there and be like, "You ready to write this book yet?" I'm like, "No, I'm gonna get me a job." No, you know. But so one day I was just like, "Okay, God, if you want me to write a book, give me a title."
Right.
Went to sleep, woke up in the middle of my sleep, and this was the title. Typed it up. And I looked up purposefully, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like the title was perfect. I was like, wow, something that you kind of got to go through. I don't know word for word what it is right now, but it was like something that you had to go through or something that was on purpose to happen. And I was just like,
Yeah.
That I was like, wow, that's deep. You know, so in saying that, I felt like it was something that I needed to go through because of all the lessons that I needed to. You think at 18, you starting like I'm starting college. This is when you kind of find yourself. So I literally needed all of those lessons to look at the world differently and to get through things.
And
like
it provided you value.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. As good as the person I thought I was like, girl, woo, like, no, you were, like, I wouldn't have made it. I feel like I wouldn't have made it if I hadn't got cut. You know what I mean? And as crazy as that sounds, it was like, but you're spoiled. That was it.
Because what I get from it is like, you know, the scars in life, the analogy you're trying to convey, or what I took from it is, these scars are either going to build you or break you. So it's your choice as to how you use the experience to either learn from it, as you know, Darian. I'm sorry, it's an inside joke. Has mentioned many times. You know, some people will learn things vicariously through other people's mistakes. Some people got to go through it and be hard-headed. And then, you know, you have people who go through it and they don't learn from it at all. It added no value to them, and they need another scar
Yes, definitely.
until they're tired of being scarred.
Yes, some people have to get hit by that Mack truck, you know, hit that brick wall. Evidently, but for you, it took that one, and it was significant enough for you to say, you know what, I need to stop, learn a lot, and it made you now an advisor, a pillar, educator for the community. So with that, you can give great advice to the children that you see around every day, and they might come around you a lot more because you have more to teach. How does that impact your daily life when school is in?
I'm one of those real teachers. I call myself an auntie teacher and coach. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I don't sugarcoat nothing with the kids. Like, this is life. Like, you know, and it took me a while to share my story, and they would always look at me and be like, "What happened to your face?" I was like, "I had an accident." I would never like really say it to them until I realized, you know, they need to hear what you went through.
I wanna pause right there. Was your initial reaction, knee-jerk reaction, not to share it because you felt what? Ashamed that you went through it? Didn't feel like explaining it? Not ashamed, but this is too much to tell right now? Everyone has a reason why they're not like always forthcoming with information, and I want to know, what was it in you that said, I don't feel like telling them the truth, I'm gonna say I was in an accident?
I think I really wanted to get to the point that I really told the story the way I wanted to.
Right.
So I guess I was waiting for the book. I guess maybe that's how God was gonna make me go ahead and tell my story. But I guess, you know, in a small town, it's 100 stories of what actually happened.
Right.
So I think I really wanted it to be my story. So now that the book is out, it's like I'm free to talk about it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, now I want y'all to learn from my mistakes. Like, I'm to that point that, you know, I'm ready to share it, and I'm ready to answer all the questions behind it, because it's a lot of, oh, it's a guy involved, so why did you stay, and why did you know, so I wanted to be ready to answer all of those questions. I didn't want to share the story and not be willing to talk about everything that came along with it, because it's a million questions, you know. Everybody want to know, who won the fight? Like, I had people read the book like, well, who won the fight?
They totally didn't. See,
that's what you got from reading my book?
Exactly, I get it.
I don't answer those questions.
Yeah, just went over everything else. Yeah,
It's not for everybody.
It's not. It's not. That's all you got from it. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Next.
I'm like, you're
That's
not
what
the
you say
person
next.
that I was trying to help. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on to the people that really
Facts.
got what they were supposed
Facts.
to.
You people know who you are. Yeah.
Right.
Facts.
And the whole thing with a scar, especially one that is on your face, that's going to be the most visible. We show our face every day to who we're talking to, communicating with, interacting with, and it's a strike to our vanity, because every day you look in the mirror, whether it's brushing your teeth or whatever it is. Also, it probably created a lot of insecurity about, well, like, this, am I gonna still look attractive? How am I gonna be able to, move on from this? Or this is on my face. I'm not as pretty as I used to be. All of those kinds of things, I'm sure, especially at the age it happened to you at, you're not able to really process all of it. And you're probably like, just angry.
Right.
Just angry.
Yeah. And with the whole scar, I went from a person with no acne to a whole scar. Like, what just happened? Like, literally, that's how I was going through it. And then even getting it cut, like after the cut, I had to make the decision whether I wanted to get the stitches done in Elizabeth City or did I want to come to Virginia. But I saw somebody had got cut like on their arm and had a horrible scar. I was like,
wow.
we're going to Virginia.
Yeah, you're going to be it.
We're going to Virginia.
Yeah.
We're going to take this ride. But it was important to get a good foundation from the beginning so that it wouldn't be worse. You know what I'm saying? It was so many things that people don't understand. Like the lines in your face go this way. I got cut this way. So in order to repair it, once I had like reconstructive surgery, they had to zigzag it.
Go against the
To
grain.
make it, to make it blend in.
Yeah.
So it actually got longer. It wasn't this long, and if you can't probably see it, but it's from like here to like right here. Didn't start out that long, but they made it longer.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Just to make it
In order
blend
to
in.
blend in and fix
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Black people have keloid.
Yep. keep
That's
going.
something that could have really been a game changer because I would have had,
Big.
and for people that don't know what that is, the titties that we call it, the titty behind your ear, but that's really what it is. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But that's what we call it. I could have had all of that forming on my face.
Right.
So that's something totally different that people don't even know, but who wants that on their face?
Exactly.
So you having to figure that out, and then I have surgery, and the doctor tells you, try not to make big facial expressions. Try not to smile so much. This is what I'm telling. This is what the doctor's telling me after I get the surgery.
They should have just Botox your whole face.
Yeah, he said he was like, try to limit your all your facial expressions and all of that stuff. And
Wow.
I had already put in my head like, no, I'm gonna smile every time I go out my house. So regardless of if it busts wide open and it looks bad, I'm willing to take that because I'm gonna put a smile on my face. Like that was my thought process, and I was like, no. So however it goes, that's where it's gonna go. And it did get wider at the top, so I did, but I dealt with that. Like after the surgery, if I laid on my face, I would have it would swell up my face, so I had to deal with that. I had to go to class, swollen face, but because I laid on my face. I had to deal with all these things. Then you got the stairs and all of that stuff, and I talk about in my book, like it's days that I felt like the scar was huge, and that's all I saw.
Right.
And it's days that I get up and be like, is it still there? Like I wouldn't even look at it, but those are days that women have all the time, whether it's a pimple or whatever kind of issues that we have to fight through, but it's something I just have to fight through every day on top of everything else. So you just get to a point where it's like, it's not going to make me, you said something about being angry, and I didn't want to be angry. So I really had to get to that forgiveness piece fast. Because as long as I didn't forgive, honestly, I was a little angry at sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But I had to do what I needed to do. Like, I apologize first. I apologize first. But I felt like that's something that I needed to do.
For you to heal.
For me, yes, because it wasn't about her anymore.
Yeah,
it didn't matter, it was there, the scar was there, but I had to forgive, and I didn't want to be this angry black girl because that's what everybody wants you to be. You got a scar on your face, so
Exactly.
you're angry.
So let me ask you this, because this is, something that a lot of people would think. We all see situations where something happens to someone and you're not experiencing it or going through it, but you go, well, if it was me, or I would have, or they would have never, so those kinds of things are also whispered in people's ears because they want revenge and they want that vengeful side of us to be like, it's got to be some get back. It's no way that you're just going to get away with this and there's no get back. How did you not
keep those
go
things
that direction with it, because for some people that's unfathomable to not get back, to not have revenge. That's not even an option. Of course there's get back and revenge, because they trying to slice you back.
Right. So for me, it was my get back was a smile. You know what I mean? I was like, I'm not gonna be unhappy. Like, nope. Like I had to put in my head. I didn't know her reason for it, but I mean, okay. So I just had to give myself my own reason. She didn't tell me why she did it, so I had to form my own little conclusion of what it was. And so I was like, okay, she jealous. She wanted to do stuff. She wanted me to go down. I'm not gonna give you any of those things. So for what I drew for it to be, and I thought you wanted to hurt me, and you wanted me to be ugly, I'm not gonna be that person.
You had to take ownership
Yeah.
of it back. Yeah, I got it. I got
So
what you're
for
saying.
me, I said, so for everything, if you wanted to hurt me, you wanted me to be less attractive, I'm gonna be as attractive as I can be in this. I'm gonna have a smile on my face. I'm gonna go out. I'm not gonna hide in the house. I'm gonna keep my life moving. So if you thought it was gonna stop my life, it's not.
Facts.
It's actually gonna make me push more, because now, even though I wasn't a goer, now I'm gonna be a goer.
That's a bigger
because
act of
now-
courage.
Yeah, because
That's a
now
big act of
everybody
courage.
expects me to kind of hide, and it's crazy because you said people always say what they wouldn't do in a situation. I remember somebody got cut in middle school, and we were all sitting to the table about it, and I was like, man, if that happened to me, I would put a brown bag over my face, like I wouldn't know how to deal with it.
Right.
And as soon as it happened, like I remember myself saying to me, "You want a brown bag?" Like, because that's what I said.
Right.
And in that moment, I was like, I wanted anything but a brown bag, because I wasn't gonna be that person and hide, because that's not how my story's gonna end. No.
And that speaks to, we all think we know what we'll do.
Yep.
We all say things that what we'll do.
Never say never.
Until the time comes,
Yes.
you don't know.
You don't.
You don't know.
Yep.
And that was great that I'm glad that you told that part where you had already seen somebody go through it, and you said it yourself, what you would have did if that was me. I couldn't, and then when the time came, you were able to overcome it and do all those things you said you couldn't do.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah. So never say what
It's a good book, y'all. Powerful story.
It's a great book. Great book.
Resiliency.
Before we close out, though, one more question. We're gonna let you close out, Kandis. For all the authors out there, did you deal with writer's block?
Ooh, yes. Oh,
And how did you overcome that?
Oh my God, writer's block is real. I didn't think it was a real thing, because I didn't feel like a real author. So I was like, So it was really hard for me. But write whenever it comes to you. I don't care if you wake up out your sleep at 3 o'clock, keep a pad beside your bed, keep your phone, open up your notepad, write it down right then. Whenever it comes to you, those are the best stories. Those are your best pieces. I don't care if you're in the middle of a conversation, be like, hold on, give me a second, write it down. Speak the text on your phone, go ahead and put that part down, and then just put it all together. Listen to God, because if it's something that God is giving you, He's going to put everything in line. Because I'm not the English person as much as everybody in my family, so I struggle with writing and commas in the right spot and all that stuff. I was like, this is not going to work out good for me writing a book. But God put people in my place, and like I just met a random teacher, and she was like, yeah, I'm an editor.
Wow.
What does the editor do? And she's like, oh, I just go through and get your thoughts together and make sure it flows. Like, I didn't even realize people were out there that did stuff like that. So God just putting stuff like that in my path to tell me that's the right way to go. But it is people that help you get your thoughts together and make sure it sounds right. I kind of battled being myself in the book because I do curse and how I wanted it to be written. But I heard little stuff. Like I heard somebody on the radio was like, they had wrote like 6 books, and when they got to like their 7th one or something, the person was like, man, that sounds more like you than any of the other books. And I took that as my way of saying, no, just be you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they kind of hid who they were, and they said by the time they got to 7, they just wanted to be who they was. So I kind of took that as, okay, I'm going to be who I am. So I wanted you to feel like you were sitting down talking to me in the book. Because I wanted you to get to know me. And I want my kids, you know, that I teach, I wanted it to work for them more than even grown people. So I wanted them to feel like they were talking to somebody that they could relate to. So I was a little funny in it and all of that. So bring your personality to your book. It's yours. So make sure that you know, use that part. And don't get scared and just go.
Definitely, definitely. Well, hey, the book is called Purposefully Scarred. It's an outstanding book. You can find it on Amazon. Please, right now, go ahead and download it. It's a good read. I promise you. You won't be mad at it. It's definitely about everything we just talked about right now. Resiliency. I guarantee you, we're all going through things. And sometimes we need a little bit of motivation to see us through. And this book is one of those things. Okay. As always, it's about the community. Always about the community. And we'll see you next time.
You all right.
Peace.
Ready.